Hello my little lovebirds, TonyaTko here, and thank you to all of the people who came out to the video that I put out yesterday, I don't need no damn man. And I appreciate all of the comments. This is a follow-up video to that, just announcing that today is the big day. Today is the day of the live show, Wednesday, December 29th, 2010 at 8:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm telling you, listen, you got to get there early because people are chomping at the bit to get onto today's show. So much so that Blog Talk Radio has featured our show today on the front page. So get there early because the phone lines are going to be jam-packed. So get there a little bit before 8:30. There's going to be no messing around. We're getting right into the topic of the show because we got two things going on today. We're going to talk about the video from yesterday, I don't need no damn man, and the gist of that was, has the strong independent woman rendered the modern man worthless and obsolete? So we're going to talk about all of that tonight. I wanted to give you some homework. Just come to the show with these 10 questions in mind. I'm going to post them below the video so you can reference it when we get on the live show. So number 1, can you be independent and part of a team? Number 2, how did the modern woman become so strong and independent in the first place? 3, can a man with less economic power truly lead in the household? Can he truly be the head of that household if he doesn't have veto power, if he can't make his word the final say so, or whatever the case may be, if he doesn't have as much economic power as his counterpart? When it's time to make big decisions, let's say she wants to move into this size house and he doesn't want to, is he really able to say or to exercise his power or opinion or whatever if it's not his money who's going to be paying for it? I don't know. You talk to me about that. You know, that question in and of itself can go along a long route. So I want you, that's number 3. Number 4, is it gold digging if she looks for a man who can lead financially? Number 5, what becomes of girls who are raised in homes with weak patriarchs? And then the second part of that is, what becomes of boys that are raised in homes with weak patriarchs? And then also think about that on the flip side for weak matriarchs as well. For boys who don't have fathers in the home, or girls who don't have fathers in the home, but their mother is not a role model to look up to. How does that affect the children? And when those children become adults, how does that affect the relationship that we are having today? Number 6, do matriarchs turn boys into womanizers or soft, unfit men? That's piggybacks on last week's topic. Number 7, is it that women really, quote unquote, don't want a man? Is it that she didn't ever want one, or is it that she wants to have one but there are just no men that are qualified or fit to lead, or none that are qualified or fit to lead that are interested in her? And then number 8, what besides a penis makes men fit to lead? You know, we talk about men being at the head of the household. So what is it besides having a penis and having testosterone? We know testosterone is a very aggressive hormone. So I know this aggressive hormone makes you fit to fight, but does that make you fit to lead a household? And then that goes right into number 9. I want the men to look at their lives. What is it that you've demonstrated, exemplified, shown, or given the testament to? What example do you have in your life that would make a woman want to lay down everything that she got going on and put her trust and faith in you? Do you have a track record of being a leader? Do you have a track record of running a successful home? Do you have a track record of being somebody who can hold his own? I was talking to a young lady who was saying that she doesn't mind looking out for a guy if he's in a bad place in life. You know, okay, so he's a little downtrodden now, the economy's turned, he's lost his job, etc. But how does she know that he will ever come out of this slump, that this just isn't a pattern for him, that he's perpetuating and blaming on the economy? Where's his track record? I want you guys to ask yourself that question, because if you really think about it, we're talking about strong, independent women who got it on their own. They're holding their own. What is it that's going to make them put all of that aside and say, okay, honey, you're the head of this house. You're going to make decisions for this family, and I'm going to be your co-pilot or your co-captain or your supporting lead. Okay? All right, and then number 10. And this is the bulk of what this entire discussion is about. So I want to make sure that you come to the conversation tonight wanting to answer this question and this question here. We're not talking about men not being useful for childbearing, because we know that you need the man's seed. Yes. And in order to produce viable, well-rounded human beings, in order to get them to adulthood viably, you need the contribution from a male counterpart. Yes. Men are needed for child production and rearing. But if a woman is not ready to have children, what role in a relationship does this man fulfill? What is his need? Well, what need does he fill of hers? What does he bring into the situation? Now, I want you guys to think about this. Think about this list right here, because somebody made a joke on my video on Facebook saying that men are still needed to open up jars. Oh, goodness. As if that's the only contribution. I want you guys to come correct to the show tonight. Think about this. Number 1, dildos. Okay. Number 2, phone numbers to any type of repairman. We talked about mechanics, computer repairmen, people who will lay your tile, electricians, any type of repairman. We got phone numbers to people who could do that. And if a woman is progressive and has her own money, she can hire these men. And then nowadays, even if you didn't have to hire one of them, is the average man even capable of laying tile or fixing your car, anything like that? But that's a different point. So that's number 3. Oh no, that's number 2. We got the phone numbers to the repairman. Number 3. Men give away their companionship and their penis non-committally. So it's very easy. Let me take these off. And remember, I'd love your input on my geek glasses. What you think about those? So listen, we know that we know that men easily and very freely give away their penis and their companionship. So is it hard for a woman to get what it is that she needs? She got the dildos if she so needs to have sex, the phone numbers to the repairman, and she got the man who's giving away his companionship and his time, because non-committally. Then we got jar openers and we got step ladders to reach things that are high up. So talk to me. There's a subscriber named Lavender11 who commented on the video and said, women are changing and men want things to stay the same, desperately clinging to an ideal past that they've never tasted. Now that's another point that I want to end the video on, because I want to talk about that. All right, and also the next point from there is somebody commented that when these women wake up one morning to analyze their lives and they are 40 with no kids and no man, then they'll reevaluate. And I say, oh really? Oh really? Is it, you know, I read this book on evolution, and I was talking with a friend of mine about evolving as human beings and about just the whole entire birthing process or impregnation process, but that whole entire cycle of life. Women have a far greater chance of having children than men do. The average woman, you know what, I want to, if you guys can come to the conversation with this later on, let's talk about that. There are some men out there who will never, who want to reproduce, who will never ever reproduce because they don't have access. But for a woman, it's very easy for her to become impregnated, right? It's very easy. And then with men giving away their companionship for free and all this other stuff, how hard is it really for a woman to have children if she wants to? If she, let's say she wakes up one day and she's 40, okay. Is it going to be hard for her to have children if she wants to reproduce? Is it? No, absolutely not. There was this, you know, and just to piggyback on that, there was, I think it said that, I think my colleague said that 68% of the male population impregnate about 88% of the women. We'll talk about more of that later. So listen. Because we know that back in the days, because I remember when I was in my early 20s, the men were playing games, and I didn't stay around there playing these games with them. I got on an airplane and traveled. And 10 years later, I've been to 26 countries, traveling for 6 months at a time, living for 1 year in Japan, a month in Dominican Republic, and all over I can't even, I've been to 26 countries. Sometimes it's hard for me to name them all. I spent a month in London, Greece, Turkey, Italy, and the list goes on and on. Syria, Damascus, Thailand. I spent the year in Japan. I spent 6 months traveling through the Middle East. It's like, so my life is full and I'm happy. And I don't wake up in the morning with a dearth. I feel full in the morning. I want to talk about some more of that. And then this is where we're going to end this video off on, because I want you guys to come to the video equipped with this, because some people think that this is a quote-unquote black issue, but this is not a black issue per se, because the idea of the strong woman is really rising above out of many different communities, so much so that some people are saying that Asian is the new white. Oh gosh. That some people are saying that white women used to be thought of as subservient, and then, you know, men get over to that community and it's not so. So that now they're looking for the quote unquote new, you know, the Asian woman, she's the new white woman, and then the Asian woman is saying, not I. So I want to talk about that, because there's a subscriber that said, listen to this, listen. He said, if women want to know the answers to these questions, ask your grandmother and your great-grandmother. Women need to stop trying to talk about this all the time. He said, it's simple to me. Talk to your grandmother, great-grandmother, and you'll see all the wisdom, and you'll be surprised by all the wisdom, knowledge, and grace you'll see. And I say, oh, really? And you know, I wonder, it makes me wonder, where is it that, you know, I don't know what fantasy land people are living in. You know, people act like, I don't know, it's like, oh, you know what? And each year that goes by, people keep talking about the good old days, right? Ponder with me. Let's just pontificate with me. Let's talk about great grandmothers and great grandmothers. Okay, my grandmother was born in 1923. Now, if you subtract the year that slavery ended in 1865 from 1923, you get 58 years. So we're talking about 2 generations, right? We're talking about 58 years before my grandmother was born, slavery ended. What type of an effect, what was the climate that existed around my grandmother? Because, you know, I'm supposed to go to my grandmother and ask her for advice on the relationships, because obviously, you know, the grandparents had the perfect relationships back then. So I can't talk to her, right? Let's say her mother, I mean, my grandmother was born in 1923, so her mother was born in the 1800s, just a few short years outside of the end of slavery. And you mean to tell me that all of the selling off of your partner, having men emasculated before you, all of the internalization of that never had any effect on her and her daughters and the black family back then? Let's talk about this grace and this wisdom, etc. Okay, wisdom, I'll give it to you. But the grace and the, oh, we know how to fix the family. What was the role? What emulation of family role did my grandmother and great-grandmother have in this country. Let's talk about that. Sometimes I wonder whether or not you guys realize that, okay, black people, we come from Africa. Okay, is that any big surprise? We come from Africa. All right, so what is it that we know about the structure of the African family? So if you're talking about a grandmother and a great-grandmother living in this country, what role of family is it that they were going to emulate? And then, you know, people wonder, oh, the black woman is following after the white woman, going into this feminism, etc., etc. We're Americans. Do you realize that the black family has not been complete since the onset of slavery, since we were dragged off the motherland? What was the existence of the black family then? What were the role of the black man in the family when at any moment he could get sold away from his family, beat in front of his family, or whatever happened to his woman or kids in front of him, his daughters, stripping him of all the power that he knows of as being a man? That type of destruction. What was the role? Okay, so let me ask you a question. All of you out there talking about all these perfect, what is it that you know about the structure of an African family? Because if we're going to be emulating a black family, we're going to be emulating an African family, or we're going to be emulating the nuclear family that we've come, or the extended family that we've come into contact with here in this country. Americans live off of a nuclear family model: father, wife, children. You know, there are people from other cultures who affect us here, but even the extended family is not mainstream here, where the grandmother lives inside the home and the daughters stay inside the homes until they're ready to marry, and this, that, and the other. That's practically non-existent here. You know, in Asia and stuff like that still exists. In Latin countries, stuff like that exists, where when you need babysitting, you go out to work and granny's right upstairs and the granny's watching the baby. But really, as an African American, what was the role? Who gave the proper role model for the family? So listen, I'm going to go on from that point. I want you to think about that, because if you can only imagine having, you know, slavery, we're talking about something that lasted from the 1400s till 1865. We're talking about 500 years here, and there's 33 years in a generation. So we're talking about one family after another, one family after another, one family after another. For do the math on that. How many generations? How many times can you get 33 into 500 years? What is that? 15 generations. So we're talking about 15 generations of families that did not know a proper structure. Then all of a sudden, when our grandmothers and great-grandmothers got a hold of it, all of a sudden everything was all right? No. No, if you think about it, after seeing all of that, after seeing the belittlement of the black man and then him internalizing that, talking about, oh, I can't take care of my family, and then running off, she's already hardened herself to his absence or his demoralization, denigration in front of her. She's already hardened herself to that brutal reality. And then not only that, you got to remember, 15 generations in slavery? You'd be surprised how many, I don't even want to say, goodness, do you know how many black people came out of that thinking that they were niggers? I ain't talking about N-I-G-G-A-S or some flowery or nice way to put it. They thought they were niggers. And not only that, they thought their men were niggers too. Shiftless, lazy, no good niggers. And not only that, they called their children niggers. How many of you ever heard the word pickaninny or pickanega, which later became pickaninny and led off to pick me, where they're like, oh, this is my pick me. How many? I mean, that comes from picky nigger. So this is what people were calling their children. They internalized this, and you're telling me that none of this stuck, that none of that pain deteriorated them? And then you wonder why nowadays people are calling themselves N-I-G-G-A-S. Niggas this, niggas that. I mean, listen, oh gosh, think about it. I was born in 75. The Jim Crow laws ended 1965, 10 years before I was born. My mother was alive then in the Jim Crow era. What effect did that have on her? Let me ask you, ladies out there, how many of you received a perm in your hair before you were 13? How many of you had to sit down there and get the heat? I still remember that heat. burning my scalp from that hot iron. I remember getting my ears burnt, my forehead burnt. How many of you ladies had to sit there and endure that because your hair was quote unquote nappy? Where do you think we got these ideas from? This is why we're in the state that we're in now, and you're like, we shouldn't talk about this. No, the time is now for us to talk about this because this generation is ours. We can't sit around worrying about some pie in the sky, the perfect past that's non-existent. How many of you ever heard the term good hair? Huh? Where do you think this ideology came from? This is self-hatred. People who felt that your hair, your lip, bubble lips, who ever heard? Remember that? You got these big old bubble lips. People still calling folks black and greasy, black and crispy. Where do you think all of this came from? Do you think we invented this? This is not our invention. This was handed down to us from problems of the past. So there's no perfect pie in the sky past of some ancestors, some grandmothers, and okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to get out of here, but I'm going to tell you guys a little story about my grandmothers. You want to talk about, let's go back to the grandmothers for grace and wisdom. My grandmother, she was the queen of that whole I don't need a man ideal. And I was surprised as a child by how hard my grandmother was in terms of this. And my grandmother definitely, she did not quote unquote need a man. She would have different, I had like a step grandfather. I think I had 2 of them from what I can remember. And my grandmother made it a point to say that if any man ever acted up around her, that she would take him and put him on her shoulders, spin him around, and then chuck him out the front door. This is what I had to grow up listening to. And I was like, wow, that's harsh. And I couldn't understand this mentality. And you know, it all, now that I think about it, it all falls in line with a sign of the times. Where was this pride of family? Where was this patriarch? All throughout the 15 generations of his denigration throughout slavery. So you know what? This video went on longer than I wanted it to, but I want you guys to come equipped tonight. The show starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get there early. The links and everything are going to be below. There's going to be a live call-in line, and we're going to be doing this for 2 hours. Not only that, we're going to talk the first half of the show is going to be about those 10 questions that I want you guys to answer, and talk about what, as a woman evolves, how is the man evolving to keep himself current and keep himself relevant? We know men don't like to communicate, and they don't like to show emotion and all this, that, and the other. If a woman can get her emotional fulfillment from her friends, if she can communicate with her friends, go shopping with her friends, and get all the free non-committal penis she needs, then what role does the modern man fulfill in his life? Where is that need? And I'd like you guys to answer that. I have my own theories on that I'll share tonight. But come over and let me get off of this video because I've been talking for a minute. But so listen, subscribe to my videos over here. TonyaTko.com. Come to my Facebook page, facebook.com/TonyaTko. Make sure when you go over to Blog TV that you follow me and add me as a friend over there. Last week we had some heavy hitting numbers coming right out the box. We had thousands of people tuned in. I thought we only had 100, which were in the chat room, but there were people watching from all over the country, around the world, and there were hundreds of people who downloaded it after the fact. So come over. Come over tonight. I'm going to be looking for you guys, and I really want you all to participate in a lot of the things that we said. And like I said, this is not a black issue. This is something that's prevalent all throughout entitled America. Is it a bad thing that women have gotten equal voice? You know, people are like, the black woman shouldn't have sided with the white woman during feminism. Okay, remember, we're all Americans. Remember that. Remember, we're here and we ain't going nowhere. So we might as well get used to it. Get used to it. TonyaTko, and I'm out. Remember, tell me what you think of my geek classes. You like them? Some of you hate them. Shoot, I like them. TonyaTko, y'all, I'm out. You're a love guru. Peace.